2016. This is CISG113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy. Today is day number 5 into the semester, week number 3. So let's get started. Welcome back and good afternoon. And I've just checked the list of sign-up. It's very accurate, except for one thing that I need to remind you. Let's take a look at the Y screen. Okay? I discovered that when you write this up, you have actually write this for 5 other people, right? Because you're here, and this is written by Ken. But in Ken's table, we have Joey, we have Star, we have Sonia, we have Winnie, and we have Andy. Now remember, you are not supposed to sign up for other people, alright? You can only sign up for yourself. But you can copy from the tables above so that you can have the information updated, okay? Now, let's take a look at this. This sign up was done on the 21st January, 5:23 p.m. So Ken, you're going to share today as the first speaker, okay? Student number 3. But we cannot recognize your signing up for this, and that, because you cannot sign up for someone else. If this is allowed, it's going to be very complicated. Okay, you can sign up for yourself. Ken, are you here? Ken? Ken is not here. Alright. Ken? Okay. So, did you sign up for someone else? Now remember, you cannot sign up for them, okay? You are signed up for yourself. This is the individual, alright? So, make sure you understand that. So, the second thing is, the second person to sign up on the 21st, 5:09. Okay, it's Hannah. Alright, it's Hannah. So Hannah is supposed to be the 4th speaker today. Hannah, are you here? Alright, thank you. And then let's take a look at the 3rd student. Now, Cerelia is not supposed to talk today, but on Thursday. Okay, the sign-up time you can see over there. Alright, and then Yoga. Again, another student, the 5th speaker on Thursday. Yoga, are you here? Alright, thank you. And then, Ada, you are the person who signed up on the 21st January, 4:18. That is well before, yes, I think you got a slot. Yes, you can be the 4th speaker on Thursday. Ada, are you here? Thank you. Just trying to recognize our speaker this week. And Karen, you're the 2nd speaker for today. Alright, so thank you very much. And other than that, okay, we have Gambo. Gambo is the 2nd speaker on Thursday. Gambo is here, yes. And then, good. So, our first speaker today, it's, let's say, Karen. Now let me just remind you that, Joey, are you here? Are you going to speak today? So please sign up one more time for today, the first slot, alright? Because this slot is empty, so I can give you the opportunity to do that, alright? So Winnie, are you going to speak today? Winnie, are you here? Sick, okay. Andy, are you here? Are you going to speak today? So would you please sign up on your own as the 6th speaker for today? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 speakers today. That's very good. You need to sign up on your own. Yeah. You don't rely on someone else to sign up with you. That does not work. You are giving out your identity, alright? Then if that is possible, a lot of undesirable things. What? Oh, sure. Sonia, are you here? Would you please sign up on your own to make sure you know that, because that is very important, okay? I'm going to pass the microphone to the first speaker. That is Joey. The second speaker it's Karen. The third speaker is Ken. The fourth speaker is Hannah. The fifth speaker is supposed to be Winnie, but she's sick today, so she will not be able to do that. But the last speaker is going to be Andy. All right. So we have 5 speakers today. So 5 minutes most for each one. So thank you very much for your support. All right. So this is very important. So let's get back to our class for today. This is week number 3, okay? Week number 3, if you look at the topics and the theme is still inquiry-based learning, IBL. We're going to use inquiry-based learning as a bridge for us to understand the 2 topics for this week. For today is ethics and social responsibility in the information age, and on Thursday is the digital divide. So let's carry on with the ideas of what is meant by ethics. All right. You know the meaning of jurisdictions. Macau is under the jurisdictions of what kind of law? Used to be Portuguese law. Now we are translating the Portuguese law into Chinese. Because of the rigidity in the translations, we're actually making a lot of very interesting things. All right, so the jurisdictions, the laws, govern what is supposed to be and what is not supposed to be. And if you happen to do something which is not supposed to be, we say that you committed a crime. Okay, but ethic is a little bit different from law. Ethic is the kind of business we would like to engage in to distinguish right from wrong. But if we did it wrong, it does not mean we commit the crime, because it's not written in the law. So, we're going to study today the meanings of ethics, particularly in the intellect age. Now let me begin by giving you about 9 minutes of introductions of this. So, please get ready, and we're going to study the ideas of ethics in relations to online privacy. All right, observations. Please observe. What is meant by right and what is meant by wrong.
Are you going to upload that photo to the internet?
Sure.
You don't mind people seeing you like that?
Do you think I'm stupid? My pictures can only be seen by my friends on Fiesti.
How many friends do you have on Fiesti?
175.
Are there other people in the photo okay with the picture being uploaded?
Well, if just my buddies can see it, there's no problem. Besides, it was a party. If they let somebody take their picture, it can't be that big a deal. If you get your picture taken, it's to show it off, right?
Okay, but how well do you really know all of your online friends? How do you know you can trust them?
Well, I don't know all of them. Some are good friends, others are acquaintances. But I decide who makes the list.
Right, but any of those 175 people can copy a picture with a single keystroke and then do whatever they want to do with it.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But what would they do that for?
And if those friends share your picture with other people,
Nah, they wouldn't do that.
have you asked them not to? Do they know that you don't want other people to see that picture? They might think it's just a perfectly normal picture and that you don't care who sees it.
Well, since you put it like that. But look, you're driving me crazy. You're paranoid. I already configured my privacy settings, and that's enough. What more do you want?
And if someone sneaks into your private zone,
Impossible. They need to steal my password. I haven't given it to anybody, and I've made it difficult to guess, just in case. Besides, I update my antivirus software all the time to make sure Trojans who can steal them won't get through. You're talking to a pro.
and the other 175, are they also pros? They also do all those steps to make sure their information is secure.
No, but
Your private space that no one can get into doesn't really sound that secure, does it?
in social networks, your online privacy can be affected by others. The privacy of others also depends on you.
We all have this experience of doing with the pictures. What can you do to protect your privacy online? How many of those suggestions we really make possible in our daily living? So here we are. We got some lessons learned by this video. Let's connect this with the ethics stuff we're going to study. We start out by helping you to understand the meaning of ethics, which means you should be able to tell right from wrong. And from the specific video and the scenario you saw here is a son who took some picture with his friends in a funny way, and the son is going to share the pictures among his friends. Not many, 170 something, okay? And this little boy's mother stopped the kid and asked him a very interesting question. Do you still remember the question? Do you still remember the question? Karen?
Is it proper to show this kind of photo online because it's kind of ridiculous?
Yes, this is one of the questions. What's the other question that can help us to understand the ethics behind this? Ethic means, should I be doing this when what I'm supposed to do is going to affect not just me, but many others? At least the other three students, or better say kids on the picture, have you asked the permissions of those in your picture before you share them? How many of us have ever done things like this before? We took a picture, okay? And before we share the picture, have we done this? Go to every person in the picture and ask, is it okay for me to show your picture? Sometimes it's not possible. If you're a photographer, you know that when you take a picture on the street, thousands of people is there. You're not supposed to ask everyone of them. But are we supposed to do something like this? What is at stake here? What is being at stake here in the context of this online privacy? It's because when we share the intellect using the social media, these particular something that we share will be there forever and will be used by anyone who got a hand on it. For what purpose, we don't know. Okay? So, in this case, may I suggest another example to let you think about this? We all know when we are sick, we take medicines, right? Have you ever asked the reasons why on every bottle of the medicines they put a specific word there called poison? Right? Did you notice that? They call it poisons. What is meant by poisons? Something, if we take it, is going to take our life. Poisons. Are you going to take poisons as the medicines? Why do they do that? Have you ever thought about this? The reason is simple. Have you ever thought about this? Did you know if you go to see a doctor, in now particular doctor or hospital, when they prescribe the drugs for you, normally they will ask you to go buy it or you take it from an outside pharmacy store. Okay? When you take drugs there, when you look at the box there, in every box you have the word poisons. What does it mean? Is it a threat? Don't take it. Take it at your own risk. If you lose your life, it's your problem. It's already said it's poisons. Right? But I just got a cold. I know I need to take some medicines. It said poisons. Any reasons for that? Go home and check your medical box and see how many of those boxes have this word. Okay? Well, we know that because we do not want people to take medicines haphazardly. And so we want them, before you take the medicines, do you know what you're doing? Normally, medicines are prescription drugs. What is meant by prescriptions? That means before you take the medicines, you have seen the doctor, and the doctor have given you the diagnosis, and then the doctor say, well, you just need to take these medicines, perhaps 3 times a day, but do not take it overdoses. It is not for any other persons to take prescription drug without the advice of the doctor. If you ever do that, it could be poisons. Do you see the meaning of that? So the ethics behind taking drug is you must know what's right and what's wrong to do with the drugs. Now another message which sounds to be much more simple. It's keep it out of the reach of the children. Okay? We do not want children to take medicines as if they are taking M&M. You know what M&M is? Alright? It looks very much like M&M. So it's the chocolate beans. Okay? And then, so we just want the parents and adults keep it out of the reach of the kids. And normally, where do you put your medicines at home? Any advice? Put it in the refrigerator next to the chocolate box, or put it in the refrigerator next to the milk. Now I'm doing it because my kids are adult now. But when they were young, just below 5 years old, it is highly advised that you put your drugs in your bathroom, in the mirror cabinet, high above, that the kids cannot get it. And you have to put it under the protections of plastic bottle, which is difficult for kids to turn open, okay? Because you do not want to poison your kid with any drugs, all right? Okay, you got some connotations. There are reasons why we do something. And so, the reasons why we study computer ethics now, it's because I want to show you the 10 commandments here. All right, so let's go through this. Two minutes and 20 seconds. This is long versions, okay? You can always see it at home after the soft versions. But today, we just want to give you the soft versions, okay? All right, so let's get back to the business of sharing. But before that, allow me to say that, why do we need to study the 10 Commandments in computer ethics? Well, the purpose is, when we were growing up, when we go to eat in the public, for example, go to have dinners with our relatives or friends and your family members, your father and mother will tell you what to do and what not to do. In the context of the University of Macau, you're now staying in the residential college. And in the residential college of your affiliations, you will, in some sense, join 2 to 3 times high table dinners a year. All right? And in the context of high table dinners, what do you need to learn before you join the high table dinner? Okay? Can you walk into the high table dinners in t-shirts and slippers? You're not supposed to do it because there are some ethics, okay? Rules of thumb that you need to follow, because these are the mannerisms you need to learn. And so in the context of computer, when we use a computer through the intellect to look for anyone or look for any information, particularly in Korea, South Korea, they teach the kids from kindergarten upwards what are the netik, right? It's very interesting. We call it the netik. Okay, I'm going to elaborate more on this after this sharing, and then we go to the corporate social responsibility. All right, so let's get back to the sharing. The first speaker today, it's Karen, right? No, Joey. Joey's the first speaker today. Have you signed up? All right, so let me update this. You must have signed up. Okay. All right, so we got it? Yeah. So Andy there with Joey. So Joey, you have 5 minutes, okay? Would you please come up here? You have to come up here to speak. It's a public speaking practice, all right? So thank you very much. Let's welcome Joey.
Hello, my name is Joey. Today I want to discuss about the question of what is knowledge and what is technology. In my point of view, knowledge is a justified belief which is widely used in the working model for us, the human, to recognize and to solve the problem and difficulties. It is kind of ability because to understand and learn something we don't know before. After we have distinguished the things we learn and we have to keep the learnings in our minds. After we figure out what the information of the learnings, we will find out that the solution of the information is something we can use in the technology. Then it will become one of our knowledge. It can help us to create new and unusual miracles in the future. And technology is body of knowledge because it is devoted to creators, processing, action, and extracting materials. We describe technology as product, processes, and organization in our daily lives. We use technologies to extend our abilities, like electronics products of social communication, the cell phones, email, telephones, and etc. In the past, people can't talk to each other easily. They have to use the writing the letters or sending letters to different countries or to different areas. This is the difficulties how they communicate with others. And also, in the past, when they sailing the ship, they cannot use the compass to find the direction. So they have to learn the astronomy of the stars for them to know the direction where they are. This shows that the knowledge is very important to the technology. If there is no scientist to test the experience for their knowledge of what we have learned, there will no more new technological products to produce in the future.
Thank you, Joey. Could you stay for 1 minute? Do you have any question for Joey? Because it's a respect to the speaker that shows to pay attention to what he or she is saying. Any question? Do you understand the issues raised by Joey? Any questions? Okay. Thank you very much. We love to hear your question. You understand that when you waste question, it's not you put a difficult time to the speaker can tell you that, oh, it's a very good question, I may not be able to answer it, but thank you very much for your question. This is the way we learn how to discuss. Thank you, Joey. All right. The second speaker is Karen. Karen? Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Yes.
Hello everyone, I'm Karen, and today I choose an article to share with you, which is a sources post on UN Moodle. The first reading sources. The sources is come from Wikipedia because I want to know some general idea about these courses, such as what is breeze actually or what is thread. But finish this reading, I found out that there are too many definitions of the certain words so that it might be boring to share with you. So I choose the big concept, which is about defense in death. It's kind of model which people use to protect our information, our data. So I think it is a positive topic because by learning, when I join this course, we can know lots of people who is threatened by hackers, who harmed by hackers, and it might let us feel depressed. But actually, people have created this kind of model to protect our information, so it's kind of good news. And to describe this topic is a little bit difficult because we have to mention lots of certain names. So let's go now. Let's go now. And firstly, we can describe this model as an onion. It is because that we protect our data with different strategy, so that you can imagine that the data is in the core of the onion, and outside it has lots of layers. The first layer is application security, and the second one is host-based security, and the third one is network security. And before mentioning this kind of security, I have to let you know that actually there are ways of protecting our data, which means security controls. And there are 3 subtitles of it, which is administration controls, and which is also called procedural controls. In these controls, we use laws and policies to protect our data. So if you, if you are a hacker and you insert others' data, then you may have some punishment, which is due to this kind of control. And the second control is logical control, also known as technical controls. And in these controls, you can use strategy like changing your passwords, something like that, to protect your own data. And the third way is the physical controls. In this control is, as you can know by word, by its name, is like physically. So you can lock your computer room or add some password in your folder. So if people want to open your folder, he may need to know your password. And because of this 3 kind of control, we found out that we can create that 3 kinds of layers so that we can build this kind of model to protect our information. And by the way, I want to share some nouns I learned during this article, which is computer. People might think that computer is just a laptop or a table computer. But actually, by reading this article, you can know that computer is a device which has memory. So it can connect it to internet, and it can also cannot connect to internet. So actually, a calculator is also a kind of computer. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. Now, do we have any question for Karen? It's very important that we pay attention when we have a speaker talking and try to raise questions. Let's learn this practice. If we do have any question at this point, it's okay, because Karen will be available online, I guess, on the discussion forum to entertain our question. Okay, make sure that you code the article when you post it up in the discussion forum so everybody to read it. Okay? Thank you, Karen. Thank you very much. She did a lot of work when I look at the number of pages there. So thank you very much for the excellent effort. So the first speaker today, let's take a look at it. It's Ken. Ken, thank you very much. Let's welcome Ken.
Good afternoon, I'm Ken. I'm going to introduce what is information security awareness. Nowadays, advanced information technology have changed our lives, but it brings a lot of problems. It's about how to protect our information. Nowadays, most of people use some electronic products to manage their business, information, store, chain, etc. But they are lack of awareness for protecting their information. Maybe some of the information will steal from another person and do some cheatings. But we do not have any business in the internet, but it's also related to us because we share our daily lives to social networks such as Facebook, Instagram, and so on. So because we have a large number of information we put in the computer is also confidential, is extremely convenient for us to save our documents in the computer, but we need how to protect this document is secure. The awareness, the information security awareness is focusing on the attention on security. Is to prevent some malicious threats and vulnerabilities from computer system or another people and some hackers, and recognize of the need to protect data, information, and system. So and some way for how the hackers store our information is from our password guessing. If you set some password, it's very simple, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The hackers is very easy to guess your password and hack your accounts and steal something from you, or something misuse of the system or networks. Sometimes we may enter some virus, some networks which carry some virus. When you enter your computer will hacked by the hacker, and the hacker will control your computer and store your information and do another illegal behavior. Yeah, so and the first one is abuse of system privilege. Some of hackers maybe use the virus and hack your computer and destroy your computer, and you do not know why, and you do not know anything, but he or she may store your information already. Another is another is the Wi-Fi, the public Wi-Fi. Is not uncommon one situation for the hackers store your information. Some the hack because public Wi-Fi do not have any do not set any privacy info do not do anything to protect your personal information. So we should not. I think we should not use the public Wi-Fi to do something which is confidential.
Okay, we thank you very much, Ken, on the issues on information security awareness. Thank you, Ken. Any questions for Ken? If you do not have any question at this point, it's fine, because you can always go to Ken's box here. You see the Ken's box, and you can always click reply here. Okay, click reply here. If you have any question, you can just type it up, and so Ken could use, and everyone who come up here to speak can use your information as the basis to further discuss later. And then we can collect a lot of learning from each one of you every day when we come to class, okay? All right, after Ken, the fourth speaker is Hannah. Hannah, are you here? Thank you. May I pass the microphone to you? Thank you, Hannah.
Hello, everyone. Now I'm going to talk about what our university students should do in the 21st century, the information technology century. First of all, we should know that the difference that we got knowledge and information before about 20 or 30 years ago, we only can get information from our teachers, parents, or the television. But now we can get information from more and different ways, such as we can use computer to Google them, or we can use WeChat, email. I think in my life I got information, or most of them are from the property moments on WeChat. So today's IT has a great development. Our life become more and more convenient. However, in this way, we got both good and bad information, so that we should know how to judge them and get information useful and safe. So we should get useful information and give up the terrible information, so that the computer, the IT, can play a useful part in our life. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. It's very important that we know some basics in 21st century skills. And it's very important. And it takes some time for us to get used to those skills like communicating online, thinking critically, collaborating, problem solving. We start to do it. Thank you, Hannah. If you have any questions for Hannah, come here, click reply, and type the question. I'm sure each one of you who come to speak here will be very willing to elaborate on those questions with those of interest. Now remember, it's not important whether or not you have the right answer. We may not have the right answer, but we have a heart to discuss, okay, to explore further. So after Hannah, it's a bit Winnie, but Winnie is sick today. So the last speaker today is Andy. Thank you, Andy. Let me pass the microphone to you.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Andy from FAH. After I've watched the video clip called Explaining Computer Security, I would like to share with you some tips that were mentioned in the video of how to protect your computer and your personal data. Firstly, the narrator in the video mentioned a tip called making backups. He also said that there's no such thing as a security storage device. All forms of media can be damaged and fail, which is really remarkable. As we can see, we must not keep all our important data in just a computer. In case of damage to the computer, hacking, etc., we will lose them all. Therefore, we should keep our data in at least 2 copies or media. Secondly, we need to protect the hardware and media that is keeping our data. Do not put them in an open space like on the desk, as you cannot always prevent accidents like dropping your glass of water on it. We should keep the hardware in a safe or at least in a drawer. Thirdly, we should encrypt our personal or important data using a strong password. A good password, as the narrator said, should include at least 6 characters, contain both letter and a number, or a capital letter, be changed regularly, only known to the user, not be related to the user, and be different in every application. In this way, we can better prevent our data being stolen. Lastly, we need to install firewalls and antivirus software, as they can help us eliminate computer virus and prevent untrusted sources. Make sure it is constantly updated. For a more detailed explanation, you should just click the link and watch it by yourself.
We thank you, Andy, to help us to remember how to make backup of our data with different ways. Oh, yes. May I just invite, it's okay. May I just invite those of you who come to speak today and those of you who come to speak on subsequent class, besides signing up here, okay, I would highly appreciate, and I think all of us will highly appreciate, if you could mention the topic of your interest. Okay? For example, in Andy's case, how to make backup of your computer data in a secure manner, and then give one or two sources, for example, the video you watch. So everyone could just come to this link and watch it and read it, and then together with the video that you just taught, so much better. These are the resources we can provide to the whole class. Can you do that? Can each one of you who speak today just go back to this? What you need to do is to edit, okay, and then type up those. My topic today is, and the sources are the following. Because eventually, when you compile your records of in-class participations towards the end of the semester, those are necessary things. So if you do it now, you have a record. It's so much easier for you and for the whole class. Okay? Thank you very much. And so I hope that you do it before the end of today. I must tell you that I thank you so much for those of you who have signed up and have already spoken here, and who will be speaking in our first day class next week. This means that this is a very much active classroom, and I'm not the only source of knowledge. As I listen to all of you who speak, I'm so much stimulated. It's very good. But with the sources of information that you can provide, I believe you can learn a lot from one another. Okay, so let's go back today to the specific things that we would like to focus on, the social responsibility. Let me elaborate a little bit on what is meant by social responsibility. You know what is meant by being responsible for something. If you are a responsible person, you know that if this is the task assigned to you, you're going to get it done. Okay, you're going to fulfill your responsibility of doing it. Now, there are two types of responsibility in general. The personal responsibility. For example, I'm a father of my family. Okay, I am the breadwinner of my family's kids. So I need to make sure that I earn a living so that they could have something to eat. All right. So, but there is another kind of responsibility which must be done collectively. For example, if I catch a cold, I come to class, but there is a risk that I'm going to transmit my cold to everyone. So if I have to come to class when I catch a cold, I'm going to put on a face mask at least, okay? Or I should not come to class. For example, if any of your kids later on have some kind of sneezing, the teacher of your kid's class will tell you, you better take a rest. I do not want things like this to spread across the kids. So collectively speaking, each one of us has the responsibility to keep the hygiene up, all right? So another example is the rubbish. I cannot just sweep my rubbish out of my door, okay? And I would say that, oh, nothing happened. Everything is clean inside. But outside the corridor, I don't care. If everybody does something like this, you're going to live in a rubbish house. Okay, how can we tell? Now, in Macau, I was growing up here, and so I know the different neighborhood. When you walk into the neighborhood, people really did something like this. They just split things up and turn it on the corridor and let people clean it. It's not my business. But in order to uphold a city of health, we need to do a little bit more. Okay, other than this, what if this responsibility is not just done by the individual, but done by corporations? So let's try to see that here. Oh, my goodness. I get you the link.
Manage the opposite member of one face at the same time. Manage your salaries. scarcity of natural resources, and imminent climate catastrophes, morally questionable advertising, China, corporate fraud, financial crisis, and the Occupy Wall Street movement. These are just a few examples you may have heard about under the topic of sustainability, business ethics, or corporate social responsibility. These themes raise questions about justice for current as well as for future generations. We want to ask, corporate social responsibility, CSR for short, what is this? This man made headlines a few years ago. In 2004, Angelo Golotti learned from investigators that he was chairman of the board of several companies set up by his employer, the Italian milk concern Parmalat. Angelo, however, had not even heard of those companies, and Parmalat was only responsible for the switchboard. You can imagine how the story goes. Corporate fraud at its best, bogus companies, cooking the books, bribery, accounts in the Cayman Islands, the whole works. The task of corporate social responsibility is to prevent these and other morally reprehensible practices which can weaken society, damage companies, and hurt employees. More and more companies have realized the relevance of moral practices in their businesses, even though they have not always sufficiently implemented CSR yet. Concrete preventative measures are often labeled risk management, a term more commonly used for avoiding financial risks and damage to a company's reputation. No one likes bad press, right? Thus, companies define clear rules, so-called compliance or value management systems. For example, you can accept a bottle of wine from the supplier, but you have to pass up a golfing trip to Hawaii. However, risk and compliance management are only one aspect of corporate responsibility correctly understood. Firstly, CSR is not just about preventing bad practices, like corruption and fraud and so on. Secondly, this approach does not question a company's business activities as such. In fact, compliance management could be an efficient control mechanism even in organizations like the mafia. The more challenging question is, how can companies contribute to a good society through good business practices? Oh, that's easy, they say. We'll create a charity foundation or donate a lot of money and thus do good. Wrong. That won't hurt and may even help, but it's not systemic change. The important thing is, CSR is about how companies make profits, not about how they spend them. Corporate social responsibility must not simply be the repair center of capitalism. It has to demand systemic change in a market economy. This requires a new role for the key players in this game. Companies must become not only economic, but also moral actors. What's required and important is a stronger integrative perspective based on a system of deontological values and which is closely related to the company's core business. This means social and ecological criteria must be taken into consideration. For example, the treatment of employees, organization of the production process, offered and produced products and services, and responsible business practices of suppliers, the so-called supply chain. By the way, virtuous managers or the honorable merchant alone will not suffice. We need employees of integrity at all levels of the company, but we also need organizational structures and clear rules. But relying on a code of conduct is also short-sighted because in extreme cases, it means act according to some given rules, which is the opposite of ethical reflection, namely actual thinking about good and evil, right and wrong. In other words, CSR is always about both individuals and institutional structure. In business ethics, one speaks of individual ethics and institutional ethics. But isn't that unrealistic? Shouldn't the state do more to promote a good and fair society? Granted, it is unrealistic. And that's exactly why such questions are important. Business ethicists don't just ask what the world is like, but also what it should be like, how it ought to be. At the very least, we want to suggest where the journey should be. At the same time, we want to make practical suggestions about how to embark on that journey. One takes up questions of justification on the one hand and of implementation on the other. preferably in that order. The state, particularly through politics and law, can contribute to the implementation of corporate responsibility, but only within a limited range. If we look at society from a bird's eye view, we can spot different social systems. The economic system, the political system, the justice system, for example. One can speak of the functionally differentiated society we live in. About 60 or 70 years ago, some German economists came up with an idea that led to the development of the social market economy as we know it, particularly in Europe. The thought that a market economy should be embedded in a political framework that determines the rules of the game. This underlying idea is still important, but it has become distinctly more difficult to rely on the state alone. Societal differentiation has progressed because most systems have internationalized. Globalization is the magic word that applies to most systems, but not all of them. Politics, and particularly law, tend to be bound to one country's borders, while the economy, above all, is highly internationalized and globalized. This makes effective regulation difficult. Thus, it is now not only about the classic rules of the game, but also about the moves of the players, the corporations, in a changed and changing world. And beyond politics and law, civil society, in particular NGOs, have gained a strong influence on the economy, as both vicious watchdogs and as partners of business. In the society of the 21st century, we find new, rather odd hybrid constructs under the notion of soft laws. These are collective individual commitments to comply with certain social and ecological standards, such as collective industry agreements or the UN Global Compact. So companies are supposed to operate responsibly. Is anything really happening? There is no clear answer to that question. The cynics say that CSR is like teenage sex. Everybody says they are doing it, but few actually are. And those who really do it rather badly. The truth is more nuanced, of course. In the area of corporate responsibility, there is also the good, the bad, and the really ugly. More and more companies deal with CSR and take the first steps towards responsible business practices. We can definitely observe a distinct effort, even though it is still a delicate little plant. And of course, there are still those who misconstrue CSR as a PR instrument and simply want to greenwash or bluewash their company. And unfortunately, there are still companies that don't give a damn about questions of corporate responsibility and which even trample on justice. Got all that? Let's sum it up. First, CSR stands for Corporate Social Responsibility. Second, CSR is based on the question of good business for a good society, today and tomorrow. Third, corporate social responsibility is not charity. It is about how companies earn their profits, not how they spend them. Fourth, it takes employees of integrity and appropriate organizational structures to realize CSR. It is a matter of individual and institutional ethics. Fifth, politics continue to play an important role. But in a globalized world, the effects of regulation can be limited. And thus, sixth, companies play an increasingly important role. Seventh, soft laws are new governance mechanisms based on companies' self-commitment. Finally, CSR has arrived in business practice. It is necessary to support these developments professionally, but also to provide critical perspectives with respect to them. Research on issues of corporate responsibility is still beginning, and future developments will be exciting to see. It is unclear whether a good and fair society can be created with the help of companies, but it can be created without them. Oh, we almost forgot. Besides corporate responsibility, there is also consumer responsibility. You can practice that the next time you go shopping. And there may be more from us on that topic.
Wow. Could I help you to summarize what you learned after watching this video? First, question is, as an individual, as a person alone, how can we individually contribute to a good society with the individual practice of our ideas and behavior, which is on the positive side of the society? The question is, how can we as an individual contribute to a good society with the practice of what we do, with the practice of what we think every day? This is the question for personal responsibility. The next question is social responsibility. How can we as a group of people contribute to a good society with the importance of practicing what is right instead of what is not appropriate? Okay? Then we come to the questions of corporate social responsibility, CSR. How can corporations or organizations contribute to a good society with the way they do business? Okay? Remember, the 7 points on corporate social responsibility. When you get home, watch this video again and make sure you understand the 7 important points. Then, here is the question for you. I hope you put some thinking into it. In Macau, we have a lot of big corporations in the area of the gambling business. Okay? How can those corporations contribute to a good society with the healthy practice of the way they do business? Now, that's a big challenge. One simple example my student in the previous semester has given me is, take SJM as an example. SJM, you know, the local one, which comes from an STDM, which is a company owned by Dr. Stanley Ho. Okay? All right? So they have been doing the following in order to put Macau into the world map. All right? They want to make sure people from Hong Kong and around the world could come to Macau. And before 1995, that is before the day when we have our airport. Well, normally, people will come to Macau by sea from Hong Kong. Okay, but the problem is, you see the water level around Macau's peninsula are very shallow. Okay, because of the mud coming up from the Pearl River Delta regions. And so boats actually cannot go through it. So in order to let the boats go through it, they need to drag on the floor of the sea to remove the mud. And this cannot be done only one time. It has to be done every day for several hours. Otherwise, boats cannot enter Macau. And every day, more than 30 to 40 dredges, we call it boat, with those big machines, this dredge, on the floor of the seas are doing it every day. So that we can actually ride on the jet foil to go from Hong Kong to Macau, Macau to Hong Kong that easily. Now without the dredges doing anything, we cannot go by sea currently to this level. Okay, is this an act of corporate social responsibility? Okay, now this is an example. Of course, those of you who are old enough, you know that we have a Macau Cultural Center over there, okay, in Macau side. And that was sponsored by the same company. At that time, it's very expensive. Okay, now that is before 2002. After 2002, we know that the gambling business in Macau has been opened up, and we have more than one player. Now, can you use what we learned today in corporate social responsibility and try to answer the question, how can such company contribute to a good society with the way they do business? Of course, before you answer this question, you need to understand the 7 important points of what is meant by CSR. Okay? And having done that, if you've already done your homework, it will be a good time next week for you to come up here to share with us. Okay? So that we can learn something. All right. I think it's quite good enough for today. Before I let you go, I have to do two things. One is to take attendance. The second thing is to remind you that I have not yet received all of your named partners because we need you to have a named learning partner starting from this week. Now, when we look at the number of students you have given me before the end of last Saturday on your learning partner, I know that I cannot help because I need your information in order to install you to use the following peer discussion forum for this week. Let's take a look at week number 3. I have a pair online discussion forum here. If you have already given me your learning partner, I could install the two of you to use this forum. Just the two of you can talk, and I can also join, but not other students. So you have a private conversation group. Now make sure, please help, give me your partner's informations, okay, before the end of today or tomorrow. The way you give the partner's information is very simple. Go to week number 2, documents Q&A online, and then give me both your names and your partner's name. Information is like this. This is a table I've given you in last week's teacher's message. You just copy this table and fill up those informations. Alright? It's very important to give me your partner's information. Otherwise, you cannot use the peer discussion forum. And that is an important thing for you to get your homework done up to next week. Your first homework is due after next week. Alright? I'm going to tell you more about homework this Thursday. Alright, allow me to take attendance for the day and then I'll let you go. Johnson, you don't. Star, Ken, thank you. Terry, thank you. Iris, thank you. Andy, thank you. Christina, thank you. Gabriella, Latia yet? Okay. Sonia, thank you. All right. Tina, thank you. Cleo, thank you. Joey, thank you. Winnie, sick today. Xiao Hui, thank you. Danny, thank you. Nicholas, thank you. Welcome back. Garland, thank you. Blue, thank you. Karim, not here yet. Ming Xian, not here today. Okay. Louise, thank you. Raymond, not here today. Steve, thank you. Levine, not here today. Okay. So let me save this first. Okay. Zerelia, thank you. Muffin, thank you. Fred, thank you. Michelle, thank you. Fatima, thank you. Heidi, thank you. Karen, thank you. Erika, thank you. Yoga, thank you. Gamble, thank you. Renzi, thank you. Ada, thank you. Steve, thank you. Gia, thank you. Can, not here today, okay. Anna, thank you very much. You can. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. You're free to go now. Time's up for you to go to the next class. All right. That's it for today's CISG113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy, day number 5 into week number 3. All right. first day.